Okay.
So what we're going to really focus on doing is, like, if you can be around with me and some of the things that I'm doing and just capture me live, talking to people, saying some things that I normally talk about, it's going to come across very natural, right? And I think that's what people need to know. They need to know who I am, what I'm doing, and how this affects them. Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is neighborhood revitalization. Well, here, cut to the chase. We're frustrated. As middle class people, we're tired. You know, seems like we're the ones always holding the fort and we never get anything. If you're poor, it's like the government has all kinds of things for you. If you're rich, it's like they don't care. But us, we get nothing. And I think we're tired. There's so many things going on and we're just like, what about us? They you know what they tell us? Persevere. Pay your taxes. That's it. Nothing else. So this expo is for them, right? I have the knowledge that's going to help a lot of people realize the American dream, which seems to be somewhat dead. And I'm not just talking about people who just want to buy. I'm talking about people that already have homes. They have a home, but either they're upside down or it's falling apart. So even though they have a home, they're not living the American dream. So they're frustrated too. So this Housing Expo, more than anything else, is for us. It's our Housing Expo. I tell you, if some guy were to get shot down, a black guy by a police officer, and it was recorded, the entire community would rally around. It's like, wow, we're coming together on something. Well, that's bad. Yes, I agree. But what about something good? How come you can't seem to rally around something that's really good, like it's urgent, okay? I know a whole lot of people, they don't pay rent because they want to. They pay rent because they think they have to. If I showed you how people are buying today, like on my website, we showed this young lady, she had judgments, she had bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales, collections, and she still closed a four bedroom, 3-bath, totally renovated home on the south side. Her total payment is $1,200 a month. That's less than what most people pay for rent. She got granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, like off the chart. Her total out of pocket was less than $2,000. Total out of pocket, not another penny, paid the attorney fees, everything. Why? Because she used down payment assistance. So there's a lot of options for people out there. They just need to know. And this expo is going to show them how they can take advantage of it. So what I really want to do is carry across the message of also neighborhood revitalization. You know, we're looking around our communities and our houses are falling apart. You know, a lot of people didn't take advantage of the previous market. They already had their homes. The market came, a lot of people went crazy, it crashed, and now they lost value and it wasn't even their fault. Now they're victims and they're stuck, and the only option they're given is to do a loan modification, which is like a bankruptcy for a house. So, you know, a lot of people didn't do it. They at least had good sense. You know, just because we're the middle class doesn't make us stupid. Okay? We realized that was not necessarily a great thing, so a lot of us decided, you know what, I'll hang in there and wait for the market to recover. I'm not going to do something that doesn't even make sense to me. So, now granted, some people probably do have to do it, but I'm willing to believe a lot of people didn't. They want a better option. What they do, they would like to get something where it's not going to cost them a bad mortgage, so to speak. If they can get into a perfectly good mortgage with a low interest rate and maybe even get some money to fix up their home. That's what they see when they watch Love It Enlisted on TV. They're like, why can't I do that? Why can't I experience it? Well, at this expo we're saying, don't just watch HGTV, experience it. There are actually mortgages that will give you the money to give you that budget. So when a designer says, how much you got for me to fix your home? You can say 60, 70, 80,000. And you could be a person that owed 120, right? And your property is only worth like 70. Now here you are getting $60,000 cash at a 4.5% interest rate, or whatever the market is at that time, which hopefully will be right around then. And you may be paying 8%, which is what the rates were back then. Your payment might drop. It may stay the same, whatever. You got your house fixed up and you're no longer upside down. Now, I think a lot of people might take that option. If you're interested in that, that's why you got to come to this expo. Another thing, this is the sensitive issue. You have a lot of homeowners out there and they see boarded up properties in their neighborhood and they're like, you know, they don't like it. So they sit with their arms folded and do nothing and eventually watch an investor come in, fix that house up terribly, and they can see it's happening, and then they put a renter in there who doesn't care about the property and it's like bringing down the whole block, right? And they're pissed off now. But what did they do about it? Nothing. So this expo is going to show you what you can do as your part. Understand this. We all know folks that are working and renting, right? Why don't we connect them to somebody who can buy that property across the street, that border property, show them how to get the money to fix it up, just like HGTV Property Brothers, you know, they fix it up nicely, and then they can move into that property. Now they love it and they're going to take care of it. Everybody's happy. How did that happen? an existing homeowner took action and just passed some good information. And that's what the Village Network is all about. That's who's sponsoring this expo. It's about going back to our roots. You remember we go back to our roots? Our roots come from a culture where villages would beat the drums, boom, 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 you know? And they would communicate between villages. Back then, that's what they were doing. We were separate villages communicating. You know what? We can do that now. That's our roots. That's who we are. So if we can remember who we came from, we can know where we're going to go. So if we go back to our roots and start using social media as our drums, we can start communicating. Why don't we make it a habit? Because I think when it comes to social media, we can comfortably say we've all kind of gotten out of control. Why don't we take it from a different perspective and start using a percentage of our time to put out information that's good information, right? Instead of just stuff. Make it a point to put out some good information. You find this agent that can really help you find a perfect home, make you a homeowner, get your credit straight, all that kind of stuff. That's some good information. You find somebody that does some great work. Hey, you ain't gotta just, yes, you can go to Angie's List, or you can just put it out yourself to your friends' social media, good information. You know, your car broke down, and some guy, you took it someplace and they did great. You know what? Tell your friends, pass some good information. One of them might need their car fixed and end up at some place that's gonna totally screw them up. But if they got your information, they would use it. So what if you found an attorney that did a really good job, and you found yourself in a bad situation and they went above and beyond and really helped you out and said, wow, that attorney did a great job. That's some good information, pass it on. If we start passing good information, we as a people are going to find ourselves in a different place. Here's another issue. We stand divided. Now, again, villages, that means groups of people. We see block clubs here and there. There should be block clubs everywhere. Block clubs serve a very specific role. If you're one person and you go to your alderman and say, Mr. Alderman, will you please clean the streets? Alderman say, okay, I get it. And then you leave. A week later, the streets aren't clean, you go back, Mr. Alderman, would you please clean my streets? Yeah, I'll take care of it. You know, now you're getting frustrated, right? Politicians aren't doing what you want. But what if you represented the block? If you were the block club president? What if you and the block club president and all four around you, so you have 4 block clubs, what if they use you as the representative to say, yes, we'd like to get our streets clean? Don't stop there. What if we had a whole mile worth of block clubs and this one person? They're not a politician, they're not a preacher, they're just an average guy, middle class, doing their thing. They're going to represent all those block clubs, and they go to the alderman and say, okay, would you clean the streets? I'm representing all these block clubs, a mile, hundreds of people, maybe thousands, who knows. Alderman says, okay, or he won't say, well, I'll get to it later. Okay, so then you go back and through social media say, well, Alderman says he's going to think about it, and we're going to meet there at this date. Now, I guarantee everybody will make it, but a whole bunch will make it. And oh, by the way, let's just let the media know we're going to have some questions for the alderman. Now we're numbers. We all know this, but why don't we practice it? We can't agree on everything, but we can all agree on some things. So, simple. It's a simple way of getting things done. So, the Village Network is all about passing good information, going back to our roots so that we can move forward. Okay? So, these are the things I want you to capture. Like, I was talking to some folks over on 82nd and Oglesby, and that's a beautiful block. And we were telling them about how the expo and how they can do their part. When we were done with that and they realized it was in their power to make a difference, they actually said, wow, thank you for giving us that, and thank you for arming us with information that is going to allow us to raise the properties in our neighborhoods. That was a video moment. I wish I had a camera then. Because a lot of people think like they do. You know, they're the middle class, they work hard, but they recognize that there's really not a whole lot in there for them. We work very hard to keep what we have. And we do it without any help from the government, from any other source, right? We are the perseverers, we're the middle class. So this expo is for us. We need to rally around it and come together and learn what we can do from the American dream perspective, housing. Okay, so neighborhood revitalization, focusing on the homestead, using funds from the private sector. That money will never run out. As a matter of fact, if you go to a major bank and say, I got a whole neighborhood worth of people that want to revitalize their communities and they're all qualified, the bank is going to say, line them up. If you go to the government and say, we need money for this, they'd be like, well, there's no money for that. So using funds for the private sector is a way to make this work. That is what neighborhood revitalization from within means. It's the core of it. It's taking advantage of a decade-old program, decades, that people just don't know about. These major banks have had this for decades. They've never come out and said, hey, guess what? We have consumer-based renovation. You can buy a foreclosure, fix it up any way you want, and move in. As a matter of fact, you banks, What you're doing right now is, banks, you're selling your foreclosed properties to investors. These investors are paying pennies on the dollar for these properties. And then they're fixing them up and flipping them to the people, and now they're paying top dollar for the properties. And they typically have no equity because they're buying it at top dollar. Wouldn't it make sense to give it to consumers for more than pennies on the dollar, so now you're making even more money because they'll pay more money for it? Let them fix it up, because now they're fixing it up, it's not going to cost them as much. And let them move into the property. Now you don't have to worry about that investor flipping it, to taking your asset and turning it over to renters, bringing down the neighborhoods. Right? Now you're putting people into homes, and you're taking these poison assets and turning them into something sweet. A deal for the average guy. Doesn't that make sense? Why don't banks do that? I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me. I don't get it. It's a trip though, right? Okay. All right, cool.